Thank you for listening to the first official episode of Ponder This. This is my personal podcast where I'm going to bring up topics just for us all to ponder on. It's that simple. These will all be opinion-based topics. They're not fact. Well, some of them are fact, but they're facts that I express through my opinion and my opinion only. I'll try to keep this as unbiased and neutral as possible. But I am not afraid of controversy. So today I want to talk to you guys about self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, something that we all do at some point. But I want to talk about it because I want to talk about it from a personal space of where we tend to sabotage things when they start to get great, or things that have the potential to be great because we're afraid. And it's easier to run away from a situation and avoid all hurt and pain than to take a chance that it won't be painful and that it would go well. And that's where self-sabotage begins. So just a little bit about exactly why I want to talk about this is because we go through things in life and our brain is like a computer. So everything we go through, our brain is programmed to react a certain way after that first incident. So once that first incident happens, it tells our brain that when something like this occurs, this will be the result, this will be the feeling. That's how people become defensive. That's how people project. That's where the root of PTSD is and anxiety is all by things that happen in our lives and our past and traumas and things of that nature. That programmed our minds to believe that anything that looks remotely close to that will give us those same results. So when you look at the brain in that way, it's kind of easy to understand where the self-sabotage comes from. So if we looked at self-sabotage with love, if you've been hurt before and you finally meet someone and they're great and they're nice and they're doing all the right things, you may very well self-sabotage when things start to get to that place that starts to feel familiar, where you start to become vulnerable like you were in your past relationships. Then you'll sabotage because you don't want to be vulnerable again, because vulnerability is directly connected with the hurt that you received the last time. So you kind of put that guard up. It's like similar to when a kid touches fire for the first time or touches something hot. Once they touch it and it's hot the first time, they're not going to go back and touch it for the most part. There's always an exception to the rule. So that's one way with self-sabotage. Even in certain situations where you're not reading the room well, you're not, there's a lot of miscommunication, but someone can be working at a job and doing very well. But because they were at another job prior, it was very similar, they could, end up quitting when things start to seem similar. And they could have had a promotion like right around the corner, but they'll self-sabotage just to avoid what they have now deemed the inevitable. So self-sabotage is not like guarding yourself. Guarding yourself is different. Guarding yourself is you're willing to take risk, but now instead of taking risk blindly, you're taking calculated risk. You kind of have assessed the risk. You did risk analysis, and you're like, okay, if I take this risk, these are the possible issues that will happen, so I'm going to put these different mediums in place to protect me in the case of any of these issues. So that's the same thing with guarding yourself emotionally, versus when you first do something for the first time, you kind of just jump in. You're just like, woo. I'll use an example. When I took my oldest son for swim lessons, he was so excited, and he looked at the pool, and I think it was about 4 feet, this part of the pool was, and he just jumped in. And I wasn't expecting him to jump in. He had floaties on and everything, and the instructor was right there. But when the instructor asked him to come in, he just jumped. And he, of course, he got kind of freaked out when he jumped in because he was like, whoa, 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 I wasn't expecting that. But that kind of leap that he had, he didn't know about the risk of just jumping into water. And of course, he's a kid, but you can use that as an example, because a lot of the times when we first do things and first explore things, we do have a childlike mind, an innocent mind that hasn't been tainted, that doesn't know the problems that face us ahead. So, with that being said, not to ramble, self-sabotage is just a very very dangerous thing, because sometimes you can be sabotaging and not realizing it, because now you've gotten to a point where you realize when you're blatantly sabotaging. But you're so defensive, you're so afraid that you'll do subtle, small, minute things that are actually self-sabotaging situations for you. And you'll do them because you're really, really afraid. You're really, really worried. And you're like, I don't want to go through this pain again. So you'll definitely find yourself in a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to sabotage this on my own. And then the other thing about sabotaging, self-sabotaging, is it's a control issue, because if you sabotage something on your own, then you're in control of the amount of hurt you get, when you get it, how you get it, and why you get it. So your emotions, your energy, and your feeling is not based off of someone else's action anymore. It's based off of your action, which is more comfortable. It's like, I'm more comfortable hurting myself than having someone else hurt me, because I can't gauge how much they're going to actually hurt me. I can't gauge how ruthless they're going to be or anything like that. But I can gauge how much I'm going to hurt myself. And I know I'm not going to hurt myself that much. So let me put this in my hands now. So people do that. And self-sabotaging sometimes isn't even that calculated. It could be like blatant self-sabotage. It could be subconscious. And there's another type of self-sabotage where you start to display behaviors like, think about people who get into relationships where they're like, things are going well, it's getting happy. Now they're losing control of their emotions and that love they feel for that person. They're losing control over it because now they're in that vulnerable stage. They'll start to do stuff to push the person away. And they'll behave in a manner that will push that person away and give them the reins over their emotions again, so that they can take away that vulnerability. So they'll like behave in certain ways, in certain fashions. Self-sabotaging, you can also do it with just like how you portray yourself and come off in everyday society. You know, do you come off approachable? Can someone come up to you and, you know, talk to you and grow with you? Like, and this isn't just romantic, like even with like friends. Some people self-sabotage and could be missing out on great relationships with people and connections because they have a big wall up, because they had friendships that did not go well and they're just not willing to put themselves back out there to be friends again because they've been hurt by friends. Even building relationships with like people in the everyday world because you had issues with your family. So there's a lot of ways that we self-sabotage ourselves. We can also self-sabotage ourselves in our careers and where we're trying to do something new and big in our lifetime. And those things require risk. They require commitment, consistency, and they require a lot of a lot of faith within yourself and a lot of vulnerability. And sometimes we're not able to do that because of past failures. And we're like, oh, it's not going to work. We'll have every excuse. Or another way that we're self-sabotaging with things like that, which I personally do, is perfectionism. Everything has to be perfect. Mine stems from being teased and being judged and scrutinized as a young woman and as a teen and as a child. So what it does for me is I don't want to put out my art or something that I'm proud of or I think is special until it's absolutely so perfect that no one can pick apart anything. Because it protects me, because it won't put me in that vulnerable state of being ridiculed and that feeling that I felt when I was ridiculed. So to avoid all of that, I will hold things off until it's perfect. And it's like other people I may share it with other people that I may trust, or other people whose opinions I actually respect. And they may be like, it's great, it's perfect, put it out now. But in my mind, I'm like, it's not, because like someone can say this or someone can say this. So that's another way that you can self-sabotage yourself, because when you're holding back for perfection, which perfection, can it really be achieved? I mean, that's debatable. But when you're holding yourself back from perfection, you don't allow yourself, one, to make mistakes and grow. You also don't allow yourself to just get out there and go. If I didn't let perfectionism stop me, I would probably be well on within my career right now. But the fact that I do that is how I self-sabotage myself on a daily. Other ways you could do it is just like putting that hard exterior on yourself and not allowing yourself to dig deep and feel deep and love deep and understand deep, because you don't want to be that transparent, you don't want to be that vulnerable, and you don't want to feel that much anymore, because feelings can lead to hurt and pain. So, with that, all that being said, I say that to say that self-sabotaging can literally halt your whole entire life. It's a mixture of so many toxic traits that literally can stop you from advancing and being the person that you were put on this earth to be. It'll stop you from reaching your full potential, whether it's with family relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, career, self-esteem, all of those things. You can literally have some form of a self-sabotaging trait that will stop you in the tracks from reaching that full potential. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I hope it's not too rambling. I hope that you guys can follow it. I'm going to definitely be putting out more of these very, just, basic conversations about things that we should ponder. So before I let you go, I just want to challenge everyone who's listening to ponder where they may be self-sabotaging themselves right now in their life and their world. Grab a piece of paper, write down to yourself, say, what am I doing to self-sabotage myself right now? And what can I do to fix that? What can I do to make that better? How has it affected me so far? And then if you really want to dig deep, this is my favorite method. It's actually a method that they use in like operations and Lean, Kaizen, and Six Sigma, which is the 5 whys, which is basically you ask yourself why 5 times. And what it is, it's called root cause analysis. So you want to get to the root cause of why you're self-sabotaging. Or say you want to get to the root cause of why you haven't taken that big step that you're supposed to take to get to the next level. So you ask yourself the first question. You ask yourself, the first question will be why. So you're, okay, let me give you an example. So why haven't you put out your EP? Because I haven't finished recording all the songs. Why haven't you finished recording all the songs? Well, because a few of them I'm not sure of and I need to tweak. Well, why are you unsure of the songs? Well, I don't know if people will really understand or really like that. Or why do you think that? I don't know. I just feel like I'm second guessing myself. Why are you second guessing yourself? Because I'm not confident. Boom. Just right there, you got to the root cause. Confidence is the root cause of why you have not put out your work, or why you haven't put out your book, or why you haven't put out your art, or why you haven't started your business. Like confidence right there would be that root cause. So what you do is you ask yourself why 5 times. So every time you have the problem, you have the first question. It's why. You just keep answering it. And you don't even have to, you can go beyond the 5 whys. You can dig deeper and deeper. You can dig as deep as you possibly want to, because you want to get to the absolute root. So once you get to the root, you're able to analyze it now. And now that you can analyze it, now you can go forth with trying to find a solution to that problem. The next one I want to talk to you guys about is another thing that I have issues dealing with, is consistency and the art of consistency. So that will be the next episode of Ponder This. So once again, ponder this, takeaway, do not self-sabotage, because it could be literally halting your whole entire life and stop you from reaching your full potential. And to start this journey of not self-sabotaging, look up the 5 whys. That's 5 and whys, WHYS. It was great to be here to share this information, to be a bit transparent, and just to kind of get that conversation started with you. I look forward to, building a relationship with you all of my listeners. I hope you took something from this. You guys can inbox me with any suggestions or anything else you want me to talk about, or any tips or anything. I appreciate it again. And once again, always remember to ponder this.